Late Night with the Devil. So this is the newest movie from Shudder. I love when a horror movie takes a big swing. You have like Unfriended, where it's like all on a laptop screen, or the found footage kind of era of horror. I absolutely loved how this movie is presented. Like, it's like a documentary about this late night television host, but then most of it is like it's the show itself.
Absolutely. I thought this was phenomenal. Tell you straight off the bat, James, I loved everything about this movie. It's got some issues. It's got some bits that I wasn't so keen on, but I absolutely adored it. Now, before we go further, bearing in mind how much I love it, I would have to say, mind, this isn't original. Ghostwatch from the BBC back in the 80s, that's pretty much exactly what this movie is to an extent. This goes a bit further with the demonic possession. It's not new, but this is done so well. I just fell in love with it as soon as it started.
I think like the kind of the 1970s Johnny Carson kind of aesthetic to this differentiates from that a little bit. Like the core idea is the same, but it's definitely presented in a much different way. But like even just from the very start, sitting in the cinema, the logo after logo of production companies just keeps coming on, and it went on for like 2.5 minutes, and just like we kept laughing. It's just kind of slowly copped that, oh, this is a gag like that they're doing here. I thought that was great.
The voiceover, I don't know if you noticed.
Michael Ironside.
Yeah, but at first I thought it was Peter Cullen, but it just brilliantly done, and it tells you everything you need to know, all the backstory, and it hints at what's going to go on. Do you know what I mean? All the way through it. I just loved it. I thought the opening was really clever.
Just a cool way of present, like, you know, a documentary of this like horrific thing that happened. But I do feel like that should have come back in at the end of the movie. There should have been like a wrap-up kind of thing. It ends quite suddenly. David Dastmalchian, so you obviously recognize him, Polka Dot Man in The Suicide Squad, he's in The Dark Knight. Absolutely incredible. I've always loved him, and I love just how through sheer talent he's been getting kind of bigger and bigger, and I think he's just a powerhouse performance in this movie.
I think this is the film that will make people stand up and look, because I think his performance in this is breathtakingly good. It's such a shame, we've talked about it before, but it's such a shame that movies like this don't get a whiff of things like Oscars and stuff like that. This is the kind of role that should be recognised, but I don't think it will be. But I think this will make people really realise that he's a phenomenal actor, because he was amazing in this.
You effectively see the entire episode of this fictional talk show with just like behind the scenes stuff at the commercial breaks. And like I was even like just enjoying it when he was just doing his like monologue at the start of like the what's in the news this week. I was like really fun. I thought his little sidekick character was really great as well. And there's so many great characters in this. There's sort of like this Darren Brown character in this who's like a skeptic of like, yeah, I don't believe in this possession thing, they're tricksters and stuff. That was really great. The David Blaine guy as well, who like ends up like dying. You might know, like you're just throwing up bile.
Vomits the black stuff all over him, isn't he? Yeah. And I think, you know, if I'm being really honest, she didn't say a lot, but one of the star performances for me is the young girl. It's genuinely unsettling when she's just looking at the camera and smiling. Freaked me out.
Yeah, because it's the way she's acting. She's so like, oh, I'm really happy to be here. This is really great. The way that her kind of handler was looking at her, I was like, oh, is it like she going to tell us that she's doing a bit? This isn't how she normal, or is she pretending nothing's wrong? And it's like, oh, I've come up and there's not going to be anything. You know, I was curious where that was going to go.
At one point, there's a comment made about the demons and the spirits liking an audience and wanting to be seen, and that's what I took from that she's loving the fact that she's got a camera on.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's why she can't stop staring. But I love even having commercial breaks when you get the behind the scenes moments that they're in black and white, because that's what that would have been filmed on at that time. I love seeing them switch off, like from the persona on TV to like the behind the scenes, like what the fuck's the ratings and all this, you know. That was really great.
You know, the overall story is really interesting, and it starts to kind of, you get the narrative about his love of his wife, and then his wife passing away, and there's that horrendous kind of heart-wrenching scene where she's on camera with him filming, and I genuinely felt that he was deeply in love with her. But then at the end of the film, when you start looking back, you realise it's been telegraphed all the way through, that basically he's made a deal with something in the woods to get what he wants, and the sacrifice was his wife, which is heartbreaking, really. Do you think he knew?
No, I think he just made the deal, and that was the thing that they took, I think. But that said, he does exploit her death at various points in this movie. Like, he's kind of faking when the guy comes out and starts doing the cold reading, and he comes out later, oh, well, I thought you might be talking about my wife.
No, you see, so I didn't think he was faking that. I think that was the genuine emotion of the character, I think, throughout it. I think that was all real. I don't think he was faking that section. I think he really did realise it was his wife, and then you see her at the end.
Because the way it starts, he's like at this person, like, what's this name? And they're like, no, nobody, must be somebody else, you know. Goes to the
so there is all of that narrative about these people are charlatans. The vast majority are absolute charlatans, you know, and it is all just that cold questioning and things like that. But no, that scene in the movie, I don't think that the main presenter was trying to make it more interesting. I think he genuinely was like, that was my wife's. name for us. I think he was genuine with that. I know his mate then questions him and says, oh, come on, you're just playing that up for the cameras or whatever. But I don't think he was. This movie, you can take it two ways. He's obviously a very career-driven guy, but I felt it was raw emotion all the way through. I don't think there was any fakery on his part.
I disagree. And I think the movie leaves that ambiguous then. The way I took it was that this guy was a complete fraud and your man knew he was a complete fraud, and they had like scripted a bit where he was going to bring up his wife. Even though I suppose now that you say that, it's a sore subject for him. Like there's bits with the girl mentioning it, you know, die like your wife did and stuff, and it seems to hurt him. The possession sequence, I love the whole, we shouldn't do this, like the lights are here, it's the wrong environment, this is going to go wrong, and they do it anyway because ratings, baby, you know, and just goes shit ways then.
And then when the guy hypnotizes the audience and you get the guy pulling the worms out of his stomach and stuff,
that was a bit of a stretch, I felt.
Yeah,
like Darren Brown can't do that. I don't believe this guy in the 70s could have either, you know. He can like implant a number in your head, like to make you think of something, making you visualize to the point that you have to rewind footage to see what actually happened is a bit far.
Yeah, I think for me that this is kind of when this movie starts to deviate from plausible kind of fun to kind of, it's starting to get a bit tongue-in-cheek now, and the special effects are a little bit interesting at times.
Almost at the very end, the kind of demon, I guess, breaks out of the girl, like the head splits open and there's kind of this ball of light and just fucking kills everybody on stage. Neck snapped it backwards and like, you know, throat cut and everything.
Up by a necklace and things. Now I would have probably been happier if we didn't have the head split in half ball of light. If it was just the girl with a creepy grin and people's necks snapping, telekinesis or whatever. I don't think I needed to see the glowing head.
I think that sort of raised the stakes a bit, I guess. I see what you mean. Maybe if there was some other kind of transformation, like a bit more like, you know, her arms go long and spindly or something, you know.
In Exorcist, you don't need to see some kind of glowing head. Earlier on in the movie, when there is the possession scene, her face looks all gnarly and she's got cuts and things. Give us that. I think that instead of glowing head. Then
the movie does something interesting, and I don't know how I feel about this. It breaks out of the format of the documentary, and we see like kind of visions. It's like filmed like a modern movie, and we see like the host reliving memories with his current mindset, I guess. So he's being taken through kind of past events, and there's like a sinister twist. And then it cuts to him standing over everybody's dead bodies. So it's like he was made to do it. Like he was the one who actually killed them.
So as much as I love this film, the ending's the weakest point, I think, in some regards. In the way I took it was that the demons promised him fame. It's not the ratings. This is his claim to fame. He's going to go down in history as being this murdering nutter.
You will be super famous. Everyone's going to know your name. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely, yeah. I think he killed the young girl. I think he stabbed her to death, but I still think the young girl killed everybody else.
And I guess leaving the movie on a certain note of like a shock, but I feel like there would have been good to have a little 2-minute wrap up, seeing the footage of what actually happened, like the voiceover comes back in and the documentary ends, you know.
If he killed them, how did he set the one on fire and things there? Because one of them burns to death, doesn't he? Your psychic naysayer bursts into flames and he kind of burns internally.
I don't know, he lights them on, uses a lighter and fire through it. I suppose. I don't know. I don't think you're supposed to think about it that much necessarily.
Yeah.
But again, I just feel like that kind of stuff, I would have liked to have known the nitty gritty of that.
I think you're right. I think we should have had that end, and then we should have had the narrator come back and show you the true footage of what happens. But then again, that dispels the whole people thinking, was it a ghost? Was it a demon? Was it just a nutcase? You know, it leaves it for you to decide. In my head, I think there was a demon possession. The demon killed everybody, but then it got him to kill her.
And I think that ambiguity it's a talking point, definitely, you know, things people disagree with. Overall, I was really blown away by this. I wasn't expecting to love this quite as much. It's not really scary, but I just found it really intriguing the entire way through. I was really captivated and just interested in what was going to happen next. So, like, stellar, I felt.
Thoroughly enjoyed this. Really had a good time watching it. It's made me want to go back and watch Ghostwatch. I thought this was a great movie for I'm presuming, a pretty low budget. I think it was excellent.